Londoners of Reddit, how are people reacting to Italy winning? I live between two pubs in East London and it was quiet last night, unlike after the Denmark game when there were fireworks in the street. At one point there were some Italians singing. Mostly people were walking home in groups in the rain looking pretty subdued. There are plenty of hungover-looking people on the tube this morning. 2 ambulances already been called near me. One is clearly domestic abuse as the fighting ended up on the street and we went out to help. The other was for a nearby care home, so that could be anything, so not necessarily football related. Too early to really how much of an impact there will be. The weather is keeping many inside and a lot of the booze still needs to flow. The racist comments to some of the players are disgusting and social media needs to change to prevent these. One of the penalty takers who missed is 19 years old and I've never seen such abuse. He's had to disable his Instagram because of all the abuse. 19 years old. Makes me embarrassed and ashamed to be English. 19 years old. I'm someone who doesn't watch football. I only tuned into the Euros because I heard our team actually is doing well, so figured what the hell. I'm not well versed on the tactics or such, but soccer has been in my idiot eyes, exemplary since I started watching from the quarterfinal. He always seemed to be making plays, was always in good space and gave it his 100%. I think he will have a sparkling career tbh. Good to see Southgate consoling him. He's one guy who knows what that pressure and failure feels like. But then I remember Southgate consoling the Colombian player in the World Cup. He just seems an all-around decent guy. I wanted Italy to win and I feel really sad for the players who missed the penalties for England. The storm on Twitter of racism makes me sick. It is just disgusting and has no use in society. It just paints the stereotype that all English are like the hooligans who travel to Spain and trash the place, are racists and lack evolution beyond a jellyfish, when this is in fact not true. Lots of English people are fantastic. Not quite London but still in England. Living between two pubs I don't even have to watch the match to know when England score or let a goal in. I can just hear it. If there's a big match on you won't be getting any sleep until it's over. Once it's finished no matter the outcome it's generally quiet and everyone buggers off to bed, except for a few drunken wankers. The weirdest thing I saw here near Pompeii were 5 pickup trucks whose rooftops were loaded with 7/8 barely naked people chanting and spilling drinks under them, right on the heads of other screaming and probably not so sober people. According to my Instagram feed, this went on till the sun rose. Also I can still hear honking horns now and then. I'm not from London but I will say this, it is disappointing that we lost but I'm not angry about it and I was half expecting Italy to win anyway. I'm proud of this team. They got us to our first final in 55 years, became the first team in history to reach a semi-final without conceding a single goal, beat Germany, beat Denmark and dragged Italy all the way to the edge. We lost the final on penalties at 3-2, literally 1 goal away from winning. If that doesn't scream we gave them a run for their money then I don't know what the fuck does. Pitchford was a beast and saved 2 pens. Kane and Maguire played their part and although Saka will get the blame I feel sorry for him. He had the world on his shoulders and gave it all he had. If anything it is Rashford's shot hitting the bar that hurts the most. He sent the keeper the wrong way and if that was literally an inch to the right we would have won. That's just the reality of pens. They're brutal. Italy played very well and I congratulate them on their win. If we had to lose to a team I would rather it be Italy and although it's hard for the players who missed the pens I think many of us are happy that they managed to drag Italy all the way instead of losing 2-1 in ET like I thought it was going to be. Reddit is obviously going to love this and I can't blame them. I just hope that the team knows we are proud of them for how amazing they have been in this tournament. They will learn from this defeat and should now look to WC 2022. I was actually at the stadium. -99.5% of people were just sad, tired and wanted to go home. 0.5% were loud and angry. I saw somebody make a slightly off joke about somebody else, involving the fact they're black, and there was a fight. Definitely some nutters, but they don't represent most of us. I'm just sitting here, waiting for my takeaway, not pizza, so I can sleep. Well, so far we've seen scum kicking fuck out of Italy fans and racist abuse aimed at Rashford, Sancho and Saka. But, seems like the majority are sticking behind the players for once. There is no mass scapegoating going on and calls the manager to be sacked. Still though, a lot of needless shit over a fucking football game. But, seems like the majority are sticking behind the players for once. There is no mass scapegoating going on and calls the manager to be sacked. You don't sack the manager that's got you the best performance in half a century. Wait until next year when England go out in the quarter-finals of the World Cup, then you sack him. Not a Londoner, however, in a group chat that I am in with people that play the same game as me shared their experience. A person from the UK showed a video of a large group of spectators watching the game on a screen. A few guys got into a major fight, throwing fists, throwing chairs, girls screaming after the match. Leaving a friend's house last night and I was walking down the road to Finsbury Park tube station and found myself walking behind some Italian fans. By the time we were near the station, I noticed some drunk England fans acting rowdy. They noticed the Italian fans in front of me and decided to lob a bunch of fireworks at them. One of them blew up like half a foot away from me. My ears were ringing all the journey home. I fucking hate our fans. I'm English and I've just seen some of the horrible videos and comments about our players. I'm so ashamed to be English because of our shitty ass fans. I'm so proud of my England team because they got to a final that they haven't seen since 1966. So what if they didn't win the match? They still got there. That's a massive achievement in itself. What a damn shame that we have so many disgusting narrow-minded people in our country. Italy fans stuck their heads out of the window to cheer after their win. Huge crowd gathered underneath their window to lob bottles at them. Also saw the police huddled around a bloke in Trafalgar Square shivering and wrapped in foil. Hypothermia, alcohol poisoning, or some horrible cocktail of the two. A lot of sad hangovers happening today, I imagine. Usual racism, bigotry, increase in violence and domestic abuse. Mix that together with leaving streets of London like a bomb hit it, not taking even the slightest care for COVID-19 and booing any opposition. Which is exactly why, as a Londoner, I supported Italy and was fucking relieved when they won. Our fans don't deserve shit. I'm very much on the edge of London. The last stop on the tube line servicing the town. There were two guys outside the local pub arguing loudly about whether or not a tournament being decided on penalties is fair for about 10 minutes, then they just went home. That's literally all that happened. Personally, I just said fuck it, turned off the TV and went to bed. Italy won fair and square. Nothing to get salty about, just disappointed frown. I was taking a train from Gatwick which went to East Croydon and then south on another line. This was at 11:30 p.m. Most of the trains at that time were cancelled because of shortage of staff. People couldn't be bothered to work. The platforms in East Croydon were crowded and loud. Train I was supposed to take at 23:45 was cancelled. Then the train at 00:05 was cancelled. So lots of people on the platforms were really annoyed. When I got on the southbound train from East Croydon, it was full of drunk people singing football songs and banging on the windows all the way until I left the train at my stop. This was at about 00:20. Piccadilly Circus had a few Italian fans celebrating and some English fans throwing insults along the lines of "shove your pizza pasta up your ass," incisive stuff really. Heavy police presence in case anything happened. Didn't see fights, only saw cans thrown into the crowds. Many Italians honking their horns throughout the center. Also saw a group of Italians going down Regent Street singing. Surprisingly, they didn't get into any fights along the way even though they went through many groups of angry-looking drunks. The closest it got was verbal abuse. Streets were disgusting though. Don't know who has to clean to but I feel for them. My 15-year-old little brother came home really drunk and calling the players, both English and Italian, every name under the sun. He then went outside to our neighbors who were cheering for the Italians and shouted everything he could at them and almost started a big fight. One of him versus about 7 of them. TBH, it was kinda funny but really embarrassing. But my youngest brother, who is 11, was so upset it actually broke my heart to see him so disappointed, but he got over it quite quickly. I happened to drive from West Feltham to East Woolwich, London during the game and then back to West soon after. On the way there, the roads were probably the quietest I have ever seen them to be in London. Roads are never that quiet, even in the middle of the night. On the way back, the roads were all jammed up. Took me forever to drive back. Saw a few people punching up bus stops, but relatively calm otherwise. I don't really follow football, so I was actually glad to see Italy win just because of the chaos that would have ensued yesterday. I'm sure there would have been basically riots and property being destroyed had England won. Dejected but calm here. We were driving home about midnight and were surprised by how quiet it was on the streets in general. Very few groups, mainly just ones and twos trudging along with their flags. This morning seems like any other morning for the most part, although GF's mate claims a bloke on their estate torched his garden shed in a fit of pique. It's truly weird what grief does to people. It's not just Londoners. It took over the entire country. I'm a big football fan and I was gutted we lost it so narrowly, but what's more devastating is the absolutely vile racist abuse our players are receiving, especially the ones who missed penalties. Marcus Rashford was a hero for raising money for free school meals a few months ago, but one bad shot and his mural had been defaced. Saka is 19 and missed his first professional penalty, so is getting death threats. This national unity the football brought is dependent on a win, and I think that's absolutely disgusting. This is the team that we're going to donate the prize money to the NHS, for God's sake. I wish we'd won with all my heart, but what I wish more is that we could lose without it putting so many people in danger. I think what people should keep in mind is that in a population of a whole country, there are going to be a few rotten eggs. There will always be a few shit-for-brains people who think it is fun or appropriate to issue death threats or racist abuse against players. Like you said, Saka is 19. I can hardly remember being 19. I hope he gets the support around him to realize he did nothing wrong. Penalties are a numbers game and to a big extent played by the managers who select the shooters and often tells the shooters where to put them. Some players will miss. It's part of the game. Saka did his part. Actually, let me explain what is really happening. Every student in the UK is depressed because of we won on Monday. They don't have to go to school. 2. Everyone's as happy at the same time because we finally get sleep. We can't get sleep because all we hear some drunk people screaming Euros 2021. 3. It's that small minority of a-holes who laughed at a small child. Yay, they're not doing too well, I guess. They seem so destroyed. The expectation for the Italy game was way down on the previous games, so the reaction is more muted. I mean that as no disrespect to Ukraine or Denmark, but these games were viewed as opportunities to progress up into the competition, and the hype from the media and ordinary people alike was extreme. There was a less than calm reaction to the victories in some spheres. The Germany game was odd. Germany are a bogey team for England, as they usually turn up to tournaments a lot better than us. But this time around, they looked the weaker side, and there was never any fear in England that we wouldn't beat them. Even with 20 minutes to go, we thought we'd win it. The Italy game looked a lot closer. Many people were predicting a draw, plus Italy were slight favorites with the bookmakers. Therefore the result isn't a huge surprise, so there is a big disappointment in losing so late on in the competition, but nothing else really. I'm sure the media have been out all night looking for drugs, and I suspect the usual online enemies will engage in some banter, but, honestly, we knew Italy were good and the result isn't that much of a surprise. Germany always comes up as an important game to the English viewer, because the English think of Germany as our greatest rival, and chant of 2 world wars and 1 World Cup are still heard to this day. even though that's more than half a century for the most recent thing. But this rivalry also exists because Germany have subsequently knocked England out of multiple tournaments since the only cup won in England's football history. The irony is that Germany doesn't really give a shit about England. To Germans, England is just another team in the tournament, a mid-card draw, unlikely to be a cakewalk, but not someone they're nervous about playing. Germans care far more about matches against the Netherlands or Italy than they do playing England. In summary, England hates Germany. Germany is completely indifferent to England. At work ATM and everyone is just angry at the hate the players are getting. We played well, Italy was better. Simple. Those players are young and did amazing. England in the finals. We're super proud of them. Seeing the minority of English assholes being cunts to these players is disappointing though I'm happy to see such a backlash to the hateful wankers. 16-year-old American here. I can't speak for London but I can speak for Italy. I am in a smaller town in northern Italy right now and it happens to do when the Euro Cup happened. I've never been out of the country, this is the first time. Let's just say that I met a girl and did some chatting with some strangers and some drunk guy bought me a drink. Got stuck in a tube carriage with some teenagers who started a brawl. They were loudly talking about the load of coke they'd just done and then proceeded to yell out some shit about football not coming home. Got into a fight about it with some other people and ended up injuring several and knocking a guy out cold. Lots of blood, screaming, etc. Officially my least favorite tube journey of all time. Saw a video of one man go on to train tracks as a train was coming. Saw another post about black people because Rashford and Saka missed the goal or the ball didn't go in. 500 points for lynching, 50 points for killing an N-word. Hard arm. Something along those lines. It's fucking heartbreaking and it's also the reason why I wanted England to win, so that black people wouldn't have to face this kind of thing. I'm sort of scared to even go out. I'm probably being a bit dramatic. I don't know, but there are so many fucking hate posts all over social media about black people and killing them. It's terrifying. Lived near enough to London to know, and it's been predictable. Scattered racism, some attacks on Italy fans in POC, a huge amount of littering, general fights, arrests, and more, all encouraged and enhanced by vigorous day drinking. Not the worst I've seen London around football / in general. But the racism specifically is really fucking disappointing. When our national side is so diverse you'd think the nation would band together, not immediately attack the POC players for their performances. Ashamed to be English today, but immensely proud of our team. They put a good showing in the last few weeks. I'm not from London but I will say this, it is disappointing that we lost but I'm not angry about it and I was half expecting Italy to win anyway. I'm proud of this team. They got us to our first final in 55 years, became the first team in history to reach a semi-final without conceding a single goal, beat Germany, beat Denmark and dragged Italy all the way to the edge. We lost the final on penalties at 3-2, literally one goal away from winning. If that doesn't scream we gave them a run for their money, then I don't know what the fuck does. Pitchford was a beast and saved 2 pens. Kane and Maguire played their part, and although Saka will get the blame, I feel sorry for him. He had the world on his shoulders and gave it all he had. If anything, it is Rashford's shot hitting the bar that hurts the most. He sent the keeper the wrong way, and if that was literally an inch to the right we would have won. That's just the reality of pens. They're brutal. Italy played very well and I congratulate them on their win. If we had to lose to a team I would rather it be Italy, and although it's hard for the players who missed the pens, I think many of us are happy that they managed to drag Italy all the way instead of losing 2-1 in ET like I thought it was going to be. Reddit is obviously going to love this and I can't blame them. I just hope that the team knows we are proud of them for how amazing they have been in this tournament. They will learn from this defeat and should now look to WC 2022. I wanted Italy to win and I feel really sad for the players who missed the penalties for England. The storm on Twitter of racism makes me sick. It is just disgusting and has no use in society. It just paints the stereotype that all English are like the hooligans who travel to Spain and trash the place, are racists and lack evolution beyond a jellyfish, when, This is in fact not true. Lots of English people are fantastic.